Hello, friends. Welcome back to Social Studies with Miss Gonzalez. Today is September 3rd, 2020. On this day in history, the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1783, officially ending the American Revolution. This signified that America was a free nation. Pretty awesome in this day in history facts for you guys. So let us continue on with our lesson over the early American settlements. So today we will complete the reading of the bottom section on pages 2 and 3 in our Social Studies Weekly. I will evaluate my knowledge by responding to questions on a forms. So I don't have any important messages today for you guys. You guys are still pretty awesome. I am so happy with the work that you guys have been doing, and you are just amazing me, and I cannot wait until I get to meet you guys next week and see you guys next week. So please keep up the good work. You guys are doing a great job. So today I wanted to kind of just recap a little bit of what we've talked about so far this week. So we've been talking about early American settlements, and we went over Roanoke, we went over Jamestown in the last video. And so today we are going to talk more about Thanksgiving at Plymouth, and we're going to talk about an interesting fact about the American Indians that were present at the first Thanksgiving. And then we're going to talk about the beginning of slavery. So I hope that you guys are ready with your Social Studies Weekly. If you need to pause the video and take a second to get your Social Studies Weekly out to read along, go ahead and pause the video now. If not, please follow along with me. If you are not able to get your Social Studies Weekly, please follow along, you guys. I encourage it. It is very, very helpful for you guys to be able to follow along as I read to you. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to share my screen for you guys, and we are going to get started on reading the bottom section. Whoop, that's your vocab. Reading the bottom section of pages 2 and 3. So on the bottom section of pages 2 and 3, you should see 3 different blocks of paragraphs. So the first one we're going to look at is on the left side. It's the first Thanksgiving, an American celebration and custom. So if you guys are ready, let's get started. The first Thanksgiving, an American celebration and custom. What do you do the 4th Thursday of November each year? Many in America celebrate the day as Thanksgiving. This holiday has its roots in the celebration feast the Pilgrims shared with the Wampanoag. Hold on, guys. You're going to be laughing at Miss Gonzalez not being able to say some words again. So, the celebration feast the Pilgrims shared with the Wampanoag. The Pilgrims had left England and established the colony at Plymouth in order to have religious freedom. But they had barely survived the first winter. Their friendship with Squanto and the Wampanoag tribe was very important. The Wampanoag taught the Pilgrims how to plant corn and use fish as fertilizer for the plants. The Wampanoag also showed Pilgrims how to grow other crops along with the corn. With this knowledge, the Pilgrims had plentiful, meaning overflowing, harvest or collection of crops during the fall of 1621. They wanted to celebrate because they had many things to be thankful for. They had warm homes to live in, food to eat, and a peaceful relationship with the American Indian neighbors. Plymouth Governor William Bradford declared a day of Thanksgiving, and colonists wanted to share the day with their Wampanoag friends. Chief Massasoit and 90 Wampanoag came with deer to cook and share. The Pilgrims shared goose, turkey, lobster, and corn. The celebration lasted 3 days, and the people ate food and played games. The tradition of Thanksgiving Day continued each year at Plymouth. During some years, the Pilgrims did not have as much food to share, but they still gave thanks for what they had. They might have spent the day praying for better times. Today, the celebration continues in the United States. Americans across the country enjoy the day feasting on food, spending time with family and friends, and being thankful for all they have. So we will talk a little bit more about the first Thanksgiving after we have finished the rest of the bottom section. So next, we're going to move on to the next section. So how did some American Indians already know how to speak English when the Pilgrims arrived? So this is the cool fact about American Indians that I mentioned earlier that we're going to kind of dive into a little bit. So let's start. The beginning probably owed their, oh my goodness gracious, Miss Gonzalez, start over. The Pilgrims probably owed their survival to the help of the Wampanoag people, especially a man named Squanto. An Abenaki Indian named Samoset introduced Squanto to the Pilgrims. Squanto learned to speak English from fishers who sailed off the coast near Plymouth. Many American Indians had relationships with the Anglos who hunted or trapped in the area. Squanto spent time aboard English ships. Aboard, not abroad, Miss Gonzalez. Oh my goodness. He traveled and even lived for a while in England and Spain. Because both Samoset and Squanto spoke English, the Pilgrims were not frightened of them, but both men communicated with the Pilgrims and taught them better ways to survive in their new home. That is pretty cool. So because of Squanto and Samoset is why we were able to have such a lovely tradition of Thanksgiving for the most part. So now let's go into the last section on the right. Okay, so slavery begins. By late summer of 1619, the Jamestown colony had done quite well with selling tobacco to merchants in England. It was during this summer that a ship from Holland sailed into the port at Jamestown. Aboard the ship were 20 African men. Sailors from the Dutch ship got the men from a Spanish ship. The captain of the Spanish ship traded the men for food. Early records from Jamestown list these 20 Africans as indentured servants. An indentured servant is someone who agrees to work for another person for a specific time period in exchange for payment of the fee for passage on a ship. People forced these Africans to work for them in Jamestown. Historians believe they helped the colony harvest tobacco. History does not list these Africans as enslaved people, people forced to work for another person and considered property. However, this event is probably the beginning of the practice of using enslaved people to operate large farms known as plantations in the southern United States. So, we are going to recap just a little bit about what we just read. So we started off with the first Thanksgiving. So we kind of dove, it wasn't very much to read, but it gave us just a little bit to go into, which of course, you know, we'll more than likely go in more depth on Thanksgiving when Thanksgiving is actually around. We can't go super in depth on Thanksgiving in September, the early September. But you guys do know that Thanksgiving always happens on the fourth Thursday of November each year. I'm not completely sure why. Maybe it needs to be something I need to look up for you guys on why specifically it always has to be the fourth Thursday of November. Thanksgiving is a holiday for us to be thankful. It's a holiday for us to be I don't want to say thankful again, but it's a holiday for us to be thankful for the things that we have, the things that we don't have, the people we have, the people we love, our homes, our family, anything you want to be thankful for. And it's really cool how the first Thanksgiving was thankful for the fact that these settlers came to a brand new land and had no idea what they needed to do. And so by building wonderful friendships with the American Indians who were currently inhabiting the land around them, they developed the ability to be able to feed themselves, to clothe themselves, to build up their houses correctly. And because of those friendships, it led them to realize that they are so thankful for what they have because they came to this land not knowing just what they were going to get into. They just wanted to get away from wherever they were coming from because it was not the best place to be. It was not the best place to be for them. So they came here. And so with that being said, I think the interesting fact about how Squanto and Samoset were able to learn like a little bit of English to help the Pilgrims is amazing, because you don't, I'm sure as many of us know, learning a new language is hard. So the heart and the courage that goes behind these two American Indians learning a new language that they have no idea is even existing, and all they want to do is help and build a friendship, is amazing. That is just wonderful to me. You guys know that I hate just anything that has to do with just mean and rude and bullying. So the fact that that kindness goes all the way back to 1621 is amazing. That is amazing. That kindness goes back that far and has influenced our history so much. Granted, there is beautiful, beautiful kindness, and there's also awful, awful hate. Okay, and so that's unfortunately where we come into our conversation about slavery. Now, back in 1619, it wasn't quite documented as slavery. It was documented as indentured servants who they just work for you to pay off a debt. Okay, so they came on a ship and they worked for someone to help pay off the fee that they had to get on that ship and come here. So it wasn't quite slavery. It still is a form of servitude, but it's an interesting conversation to start. So I am excited to get to talk about this stuff with you guys and to have the wonderful, not really wonderful, but the mind-opening conversations about these awful parts of our history, because like I said, we have the wonderful kindness that goes all the way back to two Native Americans learning English to be able to help. And then we are starting our conversation on slavery, and it's going to be very interesting. I do ask you guys to be as respectful as possible when we come across any of these conversations. And it is my expectation of you guys that you will be respectful. It is a classroom expectation for you here in my classroom, regardless that you guys are virtual. You are to be respectful in my classroom, whether we're online or face-to-face. So when you do guys come back, it's still going to be you being respectful no matter what we're talking about. I want you guys to know that as we get into all of these conversations, you guys are in a safe place. We will have these conversations, but we will do them with respect. Okay, I want you guys to love history as much as I do. I know I say that in almost every single video, and unfortunately, you guys are going to realize that some parts of history are not that great, and then some are just amazing. So I want you guys to keep in mind the beautiful meaning behind Thanksgiving. I know that it's not, to some, it's just all about the food. I know I love the food, but it's about a beautiful friendship that became of these two settlements of people, and it's what has helped define a holiday in our history that happens every year for us. So hopefully we will definitely dive more into Thanksgiving when Thanksgiving comes around, and we will just have more beautiful conversations about the kindness that happens there, because you guys know I'm just all about the kindness. And we will have those hard conversations about the things in history that we don't quite understand why. So there you go, you guys. We have completed this week's Social Studies Weekly. In the next video, we will be summarizing and going over it and talking about it all over again, because I want this stuff to stick with you guys. I want you to remember it. I want you to know our history like the back of your hand. So I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video. And when you guys finally come back, I know I keep saying that, but I am so, so excited. You guys, you have no idea how excited I am for you guys to come back and be here with me and be with the rest of your 5th grade teachers. So I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day and you enjoy the rest of your classes. I will see you guys soon. Bye.